Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, still joined by Nate Weitzer, and we are looking at Tuesday here with five teams on a back-to-back in these 5 games after a massive 12-gamer on Monday night. We are going to be looking at best bets in this video. We also have play props up in a separate one for you guys, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us each and every weekday this season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use everything that we have up on the site right now, including that odds finder tool to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all these bets you are making in the NBA this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump right into your first pick. You're looking at this Knicks and Jazz game.
Yeah, 2 of those teams that are on back-to-backs here. I feel like everybody is. I can't believe it's only half the slate is back-to-back. But, I'm trusting the Knicks a lot more here. -4.5 is a pretty small spread. They do expect to get OG back based on Tibbs' comments that, he was kind of a late scratch against Charlotte, which is a team you don't really take seriously. And, yes, they're without Julius Randle. I don't know if that's a negative. I will poll you as the Knicks fan. But he takes the joy out of basketball for me watching the Knicks. I know he's very talented and can be very effective at times when his jumper is falling, but they have a beautiful offense surrounding Brunson, and then all of a sudden Randall decides he's just going to take over or barrel into people, and it's just not aesthetic. The point is they've won 6 of their last 8 without him, and the only 2 losses they did not have Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson's playing as well as any guard in the league, playing off that all-star starter snub fire, right? His prop, 32.5 points. It's a Knicks team that's going to bring it no matter what, no matter who's in the lineup. You slot in a lot of Josh Hart minutes, a lot of hustle guys, slotting in for Julius Randle. Hartenstein's back. And it's a Jazz team that's on the last of a 6-game road trip, and they're on back-to-back here. We've seen this before, right? With the Nuggets at the end of their road trip at the Knicks, and they were just completely overwhelmed by the Knicks' physicality and try hard, basically. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know we were doing this in January. It's the dog days of the NBA, and the Knicks just come out there every game like it's game 6 of an Eastern Conference semifinals. The Jazz struggling to score in the half court on this trip right now. Struggling so badly defensively, giving up 36 assists per game, 127 defensive rating. Most of their points are coming in the paint. And they're not scoring in transition. So, good luck beating this Knicks defense in the half court, basically. On the season, they're giving up the most fast break points going the other way. They're giving up the highest assist-to-turnover ratio. The one thing that scares you is the situation where they did get blown out in Boston, coming off a blowout here, and then they turned around and beat Philly. But, that was without Embiid. That was when the Sixers were in their dog days. And I don't think you're going to get that kind of lapse from the Knicks.
It's fair. Do we know if OG Anunoby's playing is a big deal too? He obviously wasn't really needed last night for the Hornets. We'll see if he's able to suit up tonight. He was somewhat.
Tip said he was at practice and then he was a late scratch, basically. So
yeah, he was a late scratch yesterday, which just makes you weird about what's going on with the way that they weren't really ready to have him out. Either way, I do want to know if he's in. I think he's huge for the rebounding. If you want to take the Knicks, Josh Hart's their power forward right now. Dante DiVincenzo's truly embodying a Swiss Army knife and trying to do pretty much everything on the floor. I do like both of their props in this game, and I do like Jalen Brunson to get his. I can see a world where the Knicks get completely bodied down low if they decide to play Walker Kessler like they did last night. He's played 30 minutes now in 2 of his last 5 games. It's just really random when he's going to play, and he's gotten a bunch of it's basically when he's needed, and he's been needed against the Knicks in the past because they had Mitchell Robinson in or even Isaiah Hartenstein or somebody. Not the case at this point, and so I don't know if he will or not, but that would be my only concern with that bet. Literally the only one would be, are they going to get bodied down?
They have Hartenstein. I don't know what you mean.
He missed part of last night too. He came back and he's
playing a little bit of limited minutes.
Yeah. So I don't know. He was on a minutes restriction last night. It's just a matter of how healthy do they come into the game. But with even an iota of healthiness, I'm here for the Knicks winning that one against an awful Jazz team on the road. But let me go to another awful team that I want to back, but I'm not gonna. I cannot back the Atlanta Hawks. I can't take them with 4.5 points. I can't lay a single point with them. I can't even really take points with them. They don't cover. They don't cover at all. So I'm veering away from that. I'm taking the over in that game, which has ballooned from the opening 243.5 to 246.5. You can still grab 246s. That's not a great number. Not going to be great as good of odds if you want to take 247. It is what it is. I mean, there's people smarter than me betting it up, most likely, and I still think that there's something to take away from the fact that not only are the Lakers just a different team on the road, as we've seen all season long, they're also just a different team when they're on a back-to-back, which is pretty wild. The 123 points per game that they're allowing on the road this season is absolutely bonkers compared to the 112 per game as well. And over their last 15, it's just really been that stark of a contrast between their home and road splits. The fact that they just they're playing a lot of games. That's the scary part too, obviously. But if LeBron's playing tonight after missing part of last game, having to come out and then come back in, if he's playing tonight, which I kind of thought he would, because my first thought was like, there's no way LeBron plays tonight. And then it was like, they don't have losses. They can't afford. There's none to afford, right? They don't have that luxury of being able to just sort of coast through into the All-Star break here. Like they need to be a lot closer to the play-in than they are, and a lot more solidified. So with him playing, fine. But on that no rest, man. 1-6 against the spread. 2-5 straight up. They're allowing a $119 a game, only putting up 110 points or so with about 101 pace. And as long as that pace stays right around 101 in Atlanta and neither team is playing defense, like LeBron's tailor-made to beat this team. I know that you like some of his props in this game. If you are a strong, scoring, athletic dude who can get to the rim and you at least have to worry about the shot, you're donezo, man. Like we've seen power forwards way less capable than LeBron just go at the rim and own it. If you want to go in transition, this is the second worst transition team in terms of points per possession. Fast break points are going to be there. The rim is going to be wide open as well. Clint Capella is having one of his worst defensive field goal seasons of the ever for him at this point since before the Rockets days. So there's not really much to like about it, the Lakers. That's why I want to take them. But there will be the sheer will of him playing. We're going to get D'Lo in there for 36, 37 minutes at this point. We still have no Gabe Vincent. We still have no Cam Reddish, who's out for at least another week or two. So yeah, as far as like the offensive weapons and the focal point for the Lakers, it's going to be those 3-point shots from D'Lo and the guys that are going to be shooting off of LeBron and LeBron going to the rim. So I do agree with you in the sense that he's going to have a big game tonight. But I think with DeJounte coming back as well in this one, and he and Trey playing together for the first time in a while, we're looking at like, your average Lakers and Hawks game here of like 129, 126 or something like that.
Yeah, 250 is fair. I mean, I was looking at it when it was 245, started researching it, writing, Lakers over. Then I looked at some of the back-to-back stuff you're talking about where they come out flat and they give up a ton of points. I think one way or another, one of these teams is giving up a ton of points. So I think, yeah, the total for the game makes sense. And it goes right into what I'm saying here, which is LeBron to get his stats on the back-to-back. He was quoted as saying he's going to play. Like he's expected to play here. Yeah. And I'll go over 41.5 PRA for him. 25.5 points is also certainly in play. The Lakers are just playing at such a pace right now that makes you love the over. I mean, that they're 105.5 pace in their last three, scoring 135 a game. LeBron orchestrating it. His 30% adjusted assist-to pass ratio is the highest in the league in the 3-game span. I mean, among players with enough volume to really count. He's played on 6 back-to-backs this season, scored 25.5 on higher usage, surprisingly, 31.5%. I looked at last year and was stunned to see he had a 35.5% usage rate on back-to-backs when he played, 34, 9, and 7. So, I mean, like you said, Atlanta is a juicy matchup for him, 35, 8, and 9 his last 3 against them. This Hawks defense is just like on another level in terms of just like letting dudes walk to the rim and score. Like they're like just looking up at the front office, like when am I getting shipped out? Like this just ain't working. I mean, I can't believe they got that win against the Raptors because the Raptors are so shorthanded. Otherwise, they've just been duty. And I appreciate you pivoting off the Hawks -4.5 because I was actually thinking like Lakers are the more desperate team here. LeBron is going to lead them. And, he watches these games, right? He saw Luka get 73 on this team, and he's probably thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna try to do something special here against a team that just barely plays defense.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy into the last part, but I get where you're going for it, for sure, because I think LeBron's got some bigger fish to fry than beating Luka's points record. But I like the point is like if they limited Luka to 20 points in that game, LeBron would still look at them and just lick his chops, right? And that's the point of what we say here. Like I said, dudes who can play like LeBron, that sort of archetype, which take away the passing. There's nobody in the league that is LeBron because the passing and everything else comes into play. Everything else, he's there. That's what you do against this Hawks teams. You score from those places on the floor. So I'm going to close it out with a team total over for the Chicago Bulls here, playing the aforementioned Toronto Raptors, who are just hemorrhaging confidence and wins and points and everything, especially on the road. And that's where we are here, is in the Windy City. So as a result of that, we got to take Chicago to at least get some points here. The last one they played was that 116 total that the Bulls ended up getting, and that was a different story, right? That was at Toronto, and Toronto, since the trade, the last 15 games, scoring 122 when they are on the road versus 110 at home. Basically, their games are averaging 250 on the road, and they're averaging 223 at home. And that is a big enough sample size for me to go, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now in this new look Toronto team, playing at 101.8 pace as well on the road versus 98.3 at home. So with Chicago coming in, no Zach LaVine, kind of still like the over for them, even not necessarily even more, but just as much. We've seen a level of chemistry between Kobe White. Pat Williams is out, and he was playing pretty well as well in that starting lineup with Alex Caruso, Vooch, and Kobe White. The four of them were looking really good together. Pat Will is now out for a little bit, and like we said, Zach LaVine is out. That said, that three-man lineup I'm talking about with Kobe White, Nikola Vucevic, and Alex Caruso has been a positive net rating since in the last 10 games. Well, the last 10 games that they played without Zach LaVine specifically, those dudes have had a net rating when they're on the floor in the three-man lineup there of like plus 19.5 in roughly like 62 minutes or so. So pretty good sample size for those guys playing together. Pretty solid net rating in just like an hour and a half barely of playing with each other. And so like I still feel confident about that offense. Probably a good spot for Kobe White. He actually started to just sort of level off and not really even need to worry about is LaVine playing, is LaVine not playing. Kobe White's just stepped up. He's kept his usage up even with LaVine in there. LaVine actually upped his potential assists. So I think something happened when LaVine was out that was like, okay, everyone's talking about how I'm the weakest link now and I'm the dude who's getting shipped out of Chicago. And he came back with much more a better team mentality and a better defensive mentality. Now that he's not in, I still don't think it's that much of an interruption. I think they just go back to what they were for the like 9 games that he was out, and they were really, really good actually. And at home, a bit more points per game, still only at 111, but they are playing a little bit faster, and they're going to be able to get out in transition versus this Toronto team. They're going to be able to attack the rim against this Toronto team. My only fear with taking like a Vooch prop or anything like that is that Toronto's probably going to blow the doors off of, or excuse me, Chicago's going to blow the doors off of Toronto. It is a possibility. This thing isn't too high either for me to just take Chicago to cover 6 points. It opened like really low and just started skyrocketing up, and by the time it got past 5 and now it's at 6, I was like, but still 6 points. This Chicago team, like I said, isn't really missing a beat when Zach LaVine isn't in by any means. So I would still say that they're a good bet to limit everything that Toronto is going to do, which is only going to be able to shoot and really not get to the rim at all. Poor Scotty Barnes is going to be a man by himself out there.
Yeah, no RJ, no IQ, right? I mean,
Yep.
This is prime teaser territory to get the Bulls at -2. Like, honestly, like, I don't know what exactly you want to tease it with. Maybe this Lakers over we're talking about, get it back down to where it started. But yeah, that was the first thing I looked at. Is like the Bulls are going to win. It might be by 6 points exactly. Like that seems like a kind of a key number here in this physical Eastern Conference matchup. But yeah, with Pirtle out along with those offensive guys, like Toronto is just flailing right now. Yeah, give me the Bulls.
Yeah, I was already thinking to myself, like, hopefully Masai Ujiri had a conversation with like IQ and RJ and was like, look, guys, this year ain't it, so don't worry too much about it. Just go out and get yours, and we'll see what happens. But that's all the time we have for you in Best Bets. Also, hit up the Play a Props video so you can by liking and subscribing to that page so you can continue to follow along. Until we see you next, happy betting.